What's up, everyone? I'm Michael,
And I'm Chris.
and today we're going to be hitting on Jujutsu Kaisen.
The definition of mid.
CBBA, none of them, one of them,
I'm promoting.
that'll never be the same. TBH, TBH, yeah,
Why opportunity?
never.
Jujutsu Kaisen is ass, and the animation can't save it. It's the definition of mid.
Start off, we got the first arc, the Fearsome Womb Arc, the introduction arc, where they introduce Yuji Itadori, our main character. Yuji's with his friends in an occult club at school, and they find a cursed object.
Yeah, his irrelevant friends that never come up again. Moving on.
They show off how naturally athletic he is, and he's just a strong character right from the beginning. Very annoying.
I really don't like how Yuji is just super strong immediately. I kind of wish that he was like a normal guy, but no, he's just this amazingly athletic person for no reason.
This is where they bring you to his motivation of the entire show, introducing his grandfather and his mysterious parents, where they show that he actually wants to save people.
This man has his Uncle Ben backstory, except instead of getting clapped, he just dies peacefully in his sleep. I don't know how that's a backstory or a motivation.
Later on, Yuji explains that because his grandfather died peaceful of natural causes, he wants to also bring people to their natural deaths.
He also wants to save as many people as possible so he can have them around him when he dies, unlike his grandfather who had no one.
Back at school, Yuji's friends, they open the cursed object, discovering it's a finger, releasing a cursed spirit.
This introduces us to the power system of Jujutsu Kaisen of curses and how they accumulate based on negative energy.
While Yuji's at the hospital, they introduce Megumi, who tells Yuji about how the world works and about cursed spirits.
A mystical stranger comes to tell Yuji that his friends are in danger because of some unseen force. Oh, I didn't see that in Bleach.
Yuji heads back to the school to protect his friends. There he finds out that cursed spirits are way stronger than him.
But Yuji just jumps into the fight and immediately starts fighting the curses. Like, this man can just do everything.
This is where they show you Megumi's powers for the first time, showing you that he can control Shikigamis.
I really like Megumi's power. It makes sense how he can imbue shadows with cursed energy. That was a nice touch.
Even though Megumi's had all this training, it shows that Yuji's actually stronger than him and shows more potential in this scene.
Yeah, this man Yuji is just naturally good at everything. I really don't like that.
The curse is attracted to a special grade cursed object, Sukana's finger, which we will find out later, and is actually too strong for the both of them and captures Itadori.
This establishes how curses work. Special grade cursed objects will attract weaker curses to protect them.
Because Yuji's captured, he actually has to eat Sukana's finger after he hears that it'll grant him more power.
Megumi says that there's like a 1 in a million chance that he'll survive, and it's also a deadly poison, but Yuji just tanks it and becomes Sukana's vessel.
This is where they introduce Sukana, a super ancient curse who used to be a human but is also super powerful.
Sukana is the arrogant demon in Yuji's belly that's going to be the main threat for the rest of the show.
Never seen that before. As Sukana, he easily takes out the cursed spirit and causes a problem for Megumi.
But Yuji's just able to suppress Sukana like immediately. He has no problem with it at all. He can also just switch on command.
Megumi explains to Itadori that now that he's eaten this curse, he has to be executed, or exorcised they call it.
This shows that the Jujutsu rules are absolute.
Before Megumi can do anything, Gojo shows up stopping him.
This is where we get introduced to Gojo. Gojo is this cocky, arrogant, Kakashi type sensei, but we've already seen the comparisons and it's not that bad in this show, to be honest.
Yuji once again showing that he can just switch places with Sukana at will, fights Gojo in this epic battle, but they don't show off Gojo's powers yet.
Gojo is just super strong in base form and just packs up Sukana easily. This shows that while Gojo's alive, Sukana isn't a major threat yet.
After this, Yuji wakes up in the dungeon of Jujutsu High.
Gojo explains to him that they can either execute him now or have him eat all of Sukana's fingers and then execute him after that.
This introduces the long-term plot of the show.
Long-term plot in quotations because they always stray from it or they just dance around it and do other things.
Gojo tells Yuji to enroll in the school and go on certain missions with a team. This is where they introduce Nobara, the third member of their team.
I really don't like Nobara. She's basically just like a generic anime female character, but with all of the personality traits flipped. So she doesn't really have a personality. She just has like negative personality traits, but we'll get into that later.
They go on their first mission with Nobara to a middle school.
This is where we first get introduced to her curse technique with the hammer and nails. What the fuck is it called? Yeah, this introduces like their generic case-by-case episode type, but I don't understand why this show tries to do this. Like, there's so much other plot, and then they just kind of skip over this most of the time.
Yeah, they didn't really know what they were doing. Okay, so they defeat the cursed spirit and save the little boy, moving on. Nah, but seriously, they introduced Nobara's backstory where she knew some girl who got ran out of her town.
Yeah, they run her out of the town for being in the city, and this episode is confusing, and it's even more confusing when they explain the whole thing. Like, it's such a random backstory.
A month after their first mission, they get sent on a new mission where they have to go to a juvenile detention center.
The last episode felt inconsequential essential, and they make it even more so by starting this episode off in the exact same way, and this one's way more important.
Once they get to the juvenile detention center, they find somebody's mom who actually wants to save their son, but when they go inside, he's dead.
This expands on Yuji's motivation to give people a natural death, which is okay, I guess.
Ichiji, Gojo's associate, puts a veil around the detention center.
This is where we first get introduced to veils, a power that will be recurring later on.
While they're inside, they encounter a special grade curse who shows up out of nowhere.
The special grade is a finger bearer, one of the special grade curses that protects Sukana's fingers.
This special grade curse has an incomplete domain the first time we see this. This cursed spirit is especially dangerous, and Yuji has no chance against him, and he actually gets his hand chopped off.
You would think that Yuji would have like a serious reaction to getting his hand blown off, but his dumbass just goes, huh?
What is this show? After this, Yuji tells Megumi to go help Nobara with the weaker curses while he unlocks Sukana.
Yuji stays behind and fights a special grade, but he's really weak compared to it, and you get this really good moment from Yuji where he's super scared and he doesn't know what to do.
This is where he uses his negative emotions and channels them into his fist, forming an energy punch.
I really like this moment because it makes the power system seem more consistent and it gives you like a more practical application to how it works.
While he powers the fist up, he explains that he doesn't understand his true motivation because he thought in the beginning that it was just to give people proper deaths, but now it's a little shaken up.
Yuji feels like he was being arrogant by thinking he can just save everyone and give them the death that they deserve, and this is actually a really good moment, even though Yuji's character arc sucks.
The special grade curse just blocks his punch, and he ends up turning into Sukana, healing his hand.
Nope. Megumi gives him the signal.
Okay.
And then he turns into Sukana.
Okay.
What is it, the brains?
The special grade curse blocks his punch. Megumi gives him the signal, and he turns into Sukana, healing his hand. Sukana collapsed the cursed spirit.
Tenkai. Fukuma Mizu.
This is where we first get introduced to domain expansions. I really like this as an extension of cursed energy, and it's a really good part of the power. Except they never expand on it, and only like 4 people have domains anyway. This shows that he's way stronger than the special grades, even with just 1 finger. He can also just heal Yuji. Yuji can't die.
We're gonna get to that. Sukana refuses to give Yuji back his body and actually goes and fights Megumi.
He also makes fun of Megumi for running away to help Nobara, saying that he has way more potential than he thinks he does.
Sukana realizes that any minute now Yuji will regain control of his body, so Sukana rips his heart out to make sure that he can't come back.
Spoiler alert, Yuji just walks this off. He basically just can't die. Sukana can heal from anything. I really don't like that.
After speaking with Megumi, Itadori takes control of his body and actually dies anyway.
Bro just plops on the ground like a sack of freaking potatoes. This brings us to the end of the first arc. I actually really like these episodes. They're probably some of the best episodes in the whole show, which isn't saying a lot.
After this, Gojo shows up and brings Itadori back to the school, or the morgue.
Yuji's death weighs on Megumi's mind a lot, but him and Nobara kind of just eat it and move on.
Back at the school, Nobara and Megumi meet Maki, Panda, and Toge, who they already know, but they're gonna fight later.
Maki's cool. I like Maki. She's kind of a Rock Lee ripoff, but hey, everything in this show is a ripoff, so it's okay. But Maki, A1.
At the same time, inside Yuji's dead body, he speaks to Sukana in his domain.
So he talks to the demon inside his belly, inside his domain. I've never seen that one before.
He's also the evil version of himself.
And then they have a fight inside his domain. Oh, wow. It took a lot from Bleach.
But they introduce Heavenly Pacts, where Sukana makes a deal with Yuji to bring him back to life.
In exchange, Sukana gets to take over his body for 1 minute, but he can't hurt anyone.
Yuji also can't remember what happens during this time, or that he made the pact.
Moving on.
Yuji then comes back to life and starts training with Gojo.
Gojo decides to keep Yuji's revival a secret in order to protect him from the higher-ups.
In the training, Yuji learns how to control his cursed energy without using his negative emotions, by punching a fucking stuffed animal.
This is mad fucking stupid. But at least they start to expand on the power system, which they never really expand on. It's super vague all the time.
Gojo tells him that there's 2 types of ways to use cursed energy, by applying them or just shooting them out of your body. I don't like this training, it's stupid, I don't understand it. I don't know why he actually didn't learn how to form the cursed energy and just do like normal training like in every other show.
Bring back real nigga training. You're gonna show the clip of Naruto cutting the waterfall. You're gonna see Goku doing some push-ups. You're gonna see Rock Lee kicking the thing until his leg breaks. You're gonna see Kakashi climbing up a mountain with 1 arm. The purpose of this training is to teach him how to control his cursed energy regardless of his emotional state. It's not bad. It's just like they introduce these concepts and then they're not practically applied in battle ever. They always go, oh, you can do this, but you can't do this. You can do this, but you can't do this. And then they go in a fight and then they just pull some random technique out of their ass like it's Nen. They literally have Hunter x Hunter power system. They can just make up techniques, and then some techniques are passed on. Some technique, like, bro, it's super stupid. It's like they took every single anime power system and they just try to combine them. They're like, yeah, they have the clans from Naruto, but they have Nen abilities like from Hunter x Hunter.
They have Keke Genkai.
Yeah, but they also, like, some of them have fucking stand abilities where it's like conditional. Like, just pick something, bro. It doesn't have to be everything. Moving on.
This is where they introduce Geto. 3 spirits meet up in a cafeteria to plan what they're gonna do once they revive Sukana.
Geto has actually been behind all of the collections of Sukana's fingers.
They have a plan to take down Gojo with using a certain item.
They also want to bring Sukana onto their side by feeding Yuji all of his fingers.
This shows the main antagonist of the entire show. Geto sends Jogo after Gojo with a special grade object called a prison realm.
Such a fucking stupid sentence. Jogo just wants to kill Gojo so he doesn't use the prison realm, he just attacks him.
This is where we see Gojo use his powers for the first time against him.
This is where they explain Gojo's power infinity, where the closer you get to him, the slower you go.
He says between every object, there's the power of infinity that he can bring into reality while using the power limitless.
And the way this works is because if you divide something infinitely, it'll never reach 0. Listen up, you dumb fucks. We went to college. This shit makes no sense.
Bro, we understand in calculus when you try to find a value that doesn't actually exist, use infinity to try to get as close as possible to it. But this isn't math. This makes no sense.
Yeah, and even so, that's like a placeholder for a variable to find, like, a curvature. Like, it's theoretical mathematics. There's not like a practical application for that.
Even if you try to understand it, it still makes no sense.
There isn't an infinite amount of space in between everything.
I know it's overanalyzing, but don't introduce something that doesn't make any sense.
It would make sense if he just had a force field. Gojo has a force field. That's his power.
Moving on, this dumb shit. Anyway, he uses his domain expansion for the first time, showing infinite void. They also reveal that Gojo's power is in his eyes.
Gojo's domain actually overpowers Jogo's domain, which explains how domain battles work.
Gojo then rips off Jogo's head, and Hanami comes in to save him.
This fight is fucking stupid. I don't know why it happens. Before this, Geto explains to Jogo that they can't just go kill Gojo, but he goes and tries anyway. It's not like a reflection of Jogo's character to be like, oh, he's arrogant. Jogo doesn't have a character. He doesn't have a personality. He just goes to fight Gojo because, oh, wouldn't it be cool if Gojo had a fight?
Gojo also brings Yuji there for no reason, I guess to just show off his powers, but also show him how battles work.
Yeah, and then when he beats Jogo, he has the opportunity to kill him, and then he just kind of lets him go away. Like, Gojo's super powerful. He can kill the cursed spirits at any time, but he just chooses not to. This fight exists solely because the creator wanted them to have a fight, and he couldn't come up with a good enough reason to have Gojo and Jogo fight, so they just randomly encounter each other. Having an explanation for why things happen in the plot doesn't mean that it's a good explanation. I don't know why people think that because they say, oh, I'm gonna ignore Geto and just go fight Gojo, that means that the writing is good. That's not a good reason. That's a stupid strategy. And it doesn't, like...
Bad writing.
Horrible.
After Hanami escapes with Jogo, they retreat back to Geto's base, a beach, where they're introduced to the new cursed spirit who's born, Mahito. Back at Jujutsu High, they introduce the sister school event, which they're gonna have to fight their sister school.
My hero did it better.
This is where they introduce Todo and Mai, where Todo has this weird thing where he asks about your type of woman.
Everybody loves Todo's introduction, but I don't. It's really stupid, and it doesn't give Todo any, like, redeemable personality traits. He just goes, oh, what type of woman you like? If he doesn't like it, he just gets really pissed off.
So he starts beating up Megumi because he doesn't like the type of woman he likes. Also, Maki's sister is there.
Mai and Maki have beef because Maki left the clan, and after Nobara compares the two, she gets into a fight with her.
Mai also says that Yuji deserved to die and causes some beef with the sister school.
This kind of foreshadows how the sister school is going to go out of their way to try to kill Yuji, but they just say that's going to happen, and then it doesn't happen.
Mai also says that Maki has no cursed energy and she just uses weapons.
Rock Lee.
Now we get into the versus Mahito arc, where they go on a solo Yuji mission in between the sister school arc and the intro, where Yuji takes down cursed spirits with Gojo.
This is actually a pretty good arc, and it gives Yuji some good character development. It would have been better if they actually continued any of the plot lines that they set up in it, but they don't.
While training with Gojo, Yuji finds out that his spirit energy... That's what it is. It's literally spirit energy. While training with Gojo, Yuji finds out that his cursed energy has this certain effect where it lags behind his actual punch.
This allows Yuji to unlock the Divergent Fist, which is a move that he uses in this arc.
Gojo now introduces him to Nanami, who he will be training with in this arc.
Nanami is like a Japanese businessman. He's also an old friend of Gojo who left Jujutsu because he loves money.
Did you read it while you were saying it? Did you look down at it?
I may or may not have.
I saw that.
We have scripts now, guys. We script the videos.
Sorry.
Yeah. Before this, we were just winging them. So Deadpool, The Boys, fucking the Boo Saga, the Sasuke video, those were off the dome, bro.
Nanami and Yuji take down multiple cursed spirits who they find out are not cursed spirits. They're actually transfigured humans.
This introduces Yuji to a moral dilemma where he has to actually kill the transfigured humans, and he feels really bad about it.
He uses Divergent Fist to take out most of the transfigured humans. Now they bring back Mahito, and they show that he has the ability to control souls, and he's creating the transfigured humans.
Mahito is the opposite of Yuji. He kills indiscriminately while Yuji saves people indiscriminately. I'm doing too much with my face.
Mahito at a theater kills 3 students in front of one who actually doesn't care because they were bullying him.
This introduces us to Junpei, the school threat, who's actually a pretty good character.
While fighting these transfigured humans, Nanami finds a cursed energy signature that's similar to Mahito, so he goes to track him down.
This is where you get introduced to a lot of Nanami's skill set, including his ability to cut anything with his dull blade.
The blade is a binding vow, but this is not his only ability because he has another ability called Overtime, where after 3 o'clock he becomes 120% powerful. Mahito's plan is to tell Junpei that human souls have no value and he could kill people at will.
The reason why Mahito takes Junpei under his wing is extremely vague. Spoiler alert, it's because of Geto's plan revealed later to unlock curses in regular people. They don't really make that clear in this part. He just kind of takes him under his wing for no reason.
Nanami fights Mahito in his lair.
Because of Mahito's ability Idle Transfiguration, Nanami can't really do any damage to him.
Mahito explains that the shape of your body comes from the shape of your soul, which he can manipulate.
This makes no sense. Like, do taller people have bigger souls? And like, what happens when you get fat? Is that because of your soul? Like, I don't understand. He just says this for no reason. It's not even relevant. This is not foreshadowing. This is bad writing.
Nanami seems to defeat Mahito, but Mahito escapes. At the same time, Yuji is with Ichiji, discovering a student who was involved in the massacre at the movie theater.
This is where Yuji encounters Junpei, and the two of them form a friendship.
Yuji bonds with Junpei over their love of movies and actually gets invited to dinner by his mom.
Junpei was falling into the darkness after being influenced by Mahito, but Yuji and his mom bring him back into the light.
After Yuji leaves, Mahito, who survived Nanami's attack, infiltrates their house and leaves Sukana's finger there, clapping his mom.
A low-level curse is attracted to Sukana's finger and kills his mother.
Junpei then turns into the darkness, goes to Mahito, and activates his cursed ability.
Junpei unlocks his jellyfish cursed ability.
Mahito convinces Junpei that a student was involved killing his mother.
So Junpei, in a blind rage, goes and confronts the student at the school and tries to kill him.
Interrupted by Yuji, who convinces him to actually turn to the good side and stop killing people.
I actually really like Junpei, and I like his character arc a lot. And it's a good contrast to Yuji, and I also like how Yuji comes in to save him from the darkness, showing that Yuji is like a source of light to the people around him.
Outside, Geto talks to Mahito about how they can use Junpei to awaken Sukana inside Yuji.
Bad writing.
After Yuji stops Junpei, they go out and they confront Mahito. Mahito turns Junpei into a transfigured human.
This is where you get a really fire scene where Yuji begs Sukana to help him transform Junpei back, but Sukana refuses and just laughs at him.
Mahito then kills Junpei.
This is where Yuji gets his generic anime main character rage moment. They definitely didn't steal this from a different, better show.
Yuji taps into his hatred and uses Divergent Punch against Mahito.
Mahito doesn't expect it to do any damage, but Yuji's actually able to damage his soul.
Mahito says that Yuji can see the shape of his soul due to him being Sukana's vessel.
This explanation makes no sense. Like, what does that mean? Yuji's body houses Sukana's soul, so that means that Yuji knows the shape of his own soul? Like, that's not a good explanation at all.
Mahito then tries to transfigure Yuji, but by touching him, he enters Sukana's domain, where Sukana tells him that he's gonna kill him if he ever touches Yuji again. Nanami then joins the fight and helps Yuji fight Mahito.
Scenes like these are why Jujutsu Kaisen is a Twitter anime. They have these cool scenes like when Yuji and Nanami jump him outside and then people just repost them, and that's what makes the show popular. Like, this shit is ass. At least this episode was good.
Bad writing. While Nanami and Yuji fight Mahito, he uses domain expansion, which touches Sukana's domain.
Because Mahito touches Sukana's soul after he warned him not to, Sukana claps him.
言ったはずだぞ。二度はないと。
In this fight, you also get Nanami's lame-ass backstory about him helping some girl at a bakery.
Yeah, Nanami's backstory is basically just his personality. He's just some Japanese businessman and he hates his job. It's not an interesting backstory, and having a backstory doesn't make you an interesting character.
Mahito survives, and so does Jogo, and they rejoin Geto in their secret lair, I guess, and they discuss how they're gonna collect Sukana's fingers and feed them to Yuji.
One thing I dislike about this show is how they're constantly fighting the main villains, but they never kill them, and then they just come back and wreak more havoc.
Yuji vows to never lose again, and he also learns in this arc that he can't save everyone, and that he can't give everybody proper deaths.
This sets up his motivation to defeat Mahito later in the series, although they kind of forget about it.
They also recover the finger that killed Junpei's mom, and Mahito vows to break Yuji's spirit in the future. Next arc, the Kyoto Sister School Event.
Yeah, they have their tuning exams, yay!
Gojo brings Yuji back to the school and reveals to the other students that he's still alive.
Moving on.
So the leader of the sister school, who sent Yuji on the first mission to kill him, actually sets up a new threat in this arc.
Well, I see Yamamoto. That's my question.
This is the 30th school event.
I guess this shows that the Jujutsu schools have been around for a while, or at least the dynamic between the sister schools.
There's so many different battles that, to be honest, it's not good.
Yeah, they just introduce a bunch of characters just to have them fight, and none of them are interesting, and almost none of them have good backstories.
Okay, so we're gonna cover these fights quickly. First, Megumi fights this blood manipulation guy who's actually important.
This battle isn't really that important, but it introduces you to Noritoshi's blood manipulation abilities.
And their clan. Nobara fights Momo.
They have an argument about if women should be strong and pretty or just pretty and strong. It was really ass. Nobody cares.
Maki fights Miwa.
Moving on.
Now for the actual important part. Maki versus Mai, where they introduce the Zenin clan and the conflicts in their clan.
Like I said before, I actually like Maki, and then her dynamic with Mai was also pretty cool. I just don't really like the clans. Like, they really just stole that from Naruto.
Maki and Mai's backstory explains the Zenin clan and how they were treated as servants because they were weak. They also show how they had to band together against their father, and eventually Maki left.
I like Maki and Mai, but Maki and Mai's backstory is really similar to Neji and Hinata's backstory, which isn't really that much of a problem because they change a lot. My only issue is that they introduce you into the clan aspect of Jujutsu sorcery the same way that they introduced the clans in Naruto. It's like they stole that plot point.
Bad rating. Yuji fights with Todo, and they find out that they have similar interest in women, so they become brothers.
Thank you so much, best friend!
Todo also fights Yuji, showing that Yuji's not that strong.
Todo also tells Yuji that he needs to learn how to power his whole body with his cursed energy, starting at his stomach and moving it outwards towards his arms.
Panda fights Mekamaru, who's actually an ill child who couldn't move, and he controls a robot from a distance. Panda reveals that he has 3 souls, and he's a cursed puppet created by the principal.
Turbulent, ready to party. I'm overloading!
I'm overloading!
Panda is cool. Like the other characters, he has a bland backstory and not a lot of motivation. The only thing I don't understand is how they say his other souls are his brother and sister, but he can call upon their souls and they don't have personalities. So like, what was the point of introducing that? He basically has like Chopper's powers where he can shift into different points.
Megumi, against the Kamo clan member, uses his Shikigami and combines certain aspects of them together.
He gives the frog some wings.
Megumi convinces him that life isn't about killing and he should not kill Yuji.
This also shows like the darker aspect of a lot of Jujutsu sorcerers because they say that their power is based on negative emotions, so a lot of them are evil or crazy.
They introduce the grading system for Jujutsu sorcerers when they tell you that Maki actually has a lower rating, which is grade 4, but the Zenin clan is causing this, and Todo is almost special grade. Outside the school, Jozu activates a veil to keep out Gojo. Toge takes out Miwa, but at the same time they reveal a backstory where the principal of the sister school formulates a plan to take out Yuji using a semi-first grade spirit.
At the same time that the first grade is released, Hanami infiltrates the Goodwill event and claps it.
Now everybody teams up to fight Hanami.
So after spending the entire arc explaining how the sister school members are planning to kill Yuji, they abandon this plotline to copy the SJU attack from My Hero Academia, and they do it way worse.
If you already have an established threat, I don't know why you need the main villains of the story interrupting this.
They justify it at the end of the arc, but like I said earlier, the plot comes second to the fights.
Megumi tries to fight Hanami and actually gets clapped badly, where they show Hanami's ability to absorb cursed energy.
Hanami can shoot buds at people that absorb their cursed energy and implant themselves in their body.
Hanami is about to kill Megumi, but Yuji and Todo step in to save him.
This is where we get a team-up fight where Yuji and Todo use the boogie woogie technique to defeat Hanami.
I've seen this online so many times. People love this fight. It's not that great, to be honest.
I would also like to say that after explaining how the sister school members want to kill Yuji, he never even interacts with any of them besides Todo, and they just become best friends immediately.
They say this fight is choreographed very well, but honestly there's no fighting moves used, and it's just a lot of kick flips and punches.
One of the best aspects about anime fights is how they use real martial arts moves in the fights, but Jujutsu Kaisen doesn't do any of that. They just do like spinning, kicking backflips, and then the fights are just all over the place.
But we're gonna stop with the hate and actually continue with what matters. Todo influences Yuji to use Black Flash in this fight, where he actually does.
Again, Yuji just obtains an ability. I mean, he trained for Divergent Fist. Like,
I don't know what that has to do with Black Flash. I despise an anime when main characters just unlock abilities out of nowhere.
I despise it in anything. I hated in Invincible when he just kept getting stronger out of nowhere.
Hanami reveals that their left side actually nullifies cursed energy.
Yeah, Hanami has the ability to absorb plant life with their left arm and use it to make a big cursed energy attack.
This isn't working against the students, and Hanami is about to release their domain. This is when outside, Gojo defeats Jozu, the guy who put up the veil, and enters the battle.
So, Gojo enters the battle. He uses Hollow Purple to destroy Hanami, except she survives.
They'll explain Hollow Purple later.
In the movie.
No.
In the backstory.
Yes. Even though this is Gojo's most powerful move, Hanami survives to come back later.
Yeah, this is another inconsistency in the plot. They just fight the main villains constantly, and they just almost die, but then they just come back. Like, he ripped Jogo's head off, but he survived that. And Mahito got blown up by Sukana, but he survived that. And Hanami got blown up by Gojo's most powerful attack, but they survived that too. Like, what was the point of any of these fights?
Shibuya. Wait, what?
So, the arc ends with Todo slapping his meat on the screen.
Did we talk about that? Yeah, we already covered it. And because of Hanami, they canceled the event and nobody wins, so they play baseball. However, this was all a distraction for Mahito to collect more Sukana's fingers from a different high school.
Like, what the fuck? I mean, that's a good reason, but like, why does the plot take a backseat to the fights? They had like 10 fights in a row and 2 different main plots that happened in this arc, just for at the end them to be like, yeah, the whole purpose was for us to get the fingers.
I forgot what show this is. They also revealed the plan for Shibuya after Mahito collects the fingers.
That's the only plot that they have. They just keep talking, oh, we're gonna seal Gojo and we're gonna feed Yuji the fingers. We're gonna seal Gojo, we're gonna feed Yuji the fingers. That's not a plot, bro.
Okay, now on to the next arc. Now on to the death paintings arc. Out of nowhere, Team Yuji, which is what I'm gonna call them because it's a copy of every other show,
They're literally a copy of Team 7.
are sent out on a mission by the girl with the blonde hair.
Irrelevant.
So they go to Megumi's old school when they find out that certain people are dying in their home doorways.
Megumi was also a delinquent at his school who beat up like the younger students and kept everybody in line.
So they reveal this backstory of how his sister was cursed as a child after doing the test of courage under a bridge.
Bitch jumped off the bridge.
So all the victims who died in their doorways are connected to this bridge.
I like the death painting art. It actually gives Megumi a lot of depth, and they also go over how like the fingers work and also how the curse wounds work. This is actually not bad.
Yeah, anything with Megumi I'm fine with. Megumi goes under the bridge to exercise the curse that cursed his sister, which was his plan the whole time after he joined Jujutsu High.
Megumi initially goes alone, but Yuji and Nobara show up to help him.
Megumi figures out how to enter the curse's barrier and fights a mole-like curse.
Nobara gets to play whack-a-mole with her stupid ass hammer.
Geto reveals to Mahito that a long time ago, a man called Noritoshi Kamo Toshi.
There you go.
Noritoshi had 9 children with a woman and aborted all of them, creating the cursed wombs. And then they implant 2 of them into humans, sending them to the mole's lair.
This is where we got the Fearsome Womb in the first arc. This plot point about the cursed wombs introduces like maybe the overall plot of the whole show, but it's hard to tell at this point.
You'll find out until Shibuya. These curses are there to collect Sukana's finger. While Megumi and Nobara fight the mole, Yuji takes on these curses. Nobara goes to help Yuji fight the brothers, while Megumi stays and fights a finger bearer.
This is the same type of curse that Yuji fought in the Fearsome Womb Arc, and is protecting one of Sukana's fingers.
While fighting the finger bearer, Megumi finds out that he's way stronger than the original one, and he has to use his domain expansion.
This is a really amazing moment for Megumi. This is actually one of my favorite moments in the whole show. Megumi remembers what Gojo said about releasing all your restraints, and he almost goes insane using his negative emotions to expand his domain.
He then defeats the special grade curse and escapes the domain.
Yuji claps into other curses.
Nobara uses her resonance and also uses her straw dog technique.
You learn that Nobara's resonance can actually pierce somebody's soul.
The two brothers also have the blood manipulation powers. A little foreshadowing. Fushiguro regains his control over himself by remembering that he wants to grant good people good lives.
Because of the curse that was placed upon his sister, Megumi is really committed to making the world a better place for good people like his sister. And that's the end of the arc. That's the end of the first season. It was mid.
Not bad, actually. It only gets worse from here. He claps Gojo.
Okay. Say that.
When he arrives, he slashes Gojo with a blade called
Booty hole scratcher.